Thank you so much for joining me today. This is God's boy Emmanuel, your host of the Guest Chamber podcast. You are welcome to the very first episode of the Guest Chamber podcast in the year 2024. It is the Lord's doing and it is marvelous in our eyes. We want to inform you that we now have a brand new Facebook page. You can find it by searching the Guest Chamber podcast on Facebook. We admonish you to like, follow it, subscribe, leave comments and feedback on all the episodes. We will be delighted to hear from you. You can find the link in the page in the description of each episode going forward. Today we are going to read from the book of Joshua, chapter 1, from verse 1 to verse 7. After the death of Moses, the servant of the Lord said to Joshua, son of Nun, Moses said, Moses, my servant, is dead. Now then, you and all these people get ready to cross the Jordan River into the land I am about to give to them, to the Israelites. I will give you every place where you set your foot, as I promised Moses. Your territory will extend from the desert to Lebanon, and from the great river, the Euphrates, all the Hittite country, to the Mediterranean Sea in the west. No one will be able to stand against you all the days of your life. As I was with Moses, so I will be with you. I will never leave you nor forsake you. Be strong and courageous, because you will lead these people to inherit the land I swore to their ancestors to give them. Be strong and very courageous. Be careful to obey all the law my servant Moses gave you. Do not turn from it to the right or to the left, that you may be successful wherever you go. This chapter is full of great divine truths. And in fact, it is so much that a lot of them, fight for recognition. But today I'm going to concentrate on verse 3. I will give you every place where you set your foot, as I promised Moses. I'd like us to discuss today in the chamber the topic, where you set your foot. Where you set your foot. As we begin the new year, a lot of us have resolutions or goals. Whatever we call them, there are things that we intend to achieve in the year 2024. And I see these verses in Joshua chapter 1 as a roadmap that will help us to achieve those goals. Because this is a prescription that God gave to Joshua in a period where there was a new beginning. Moses, the servant of God, was now dead. Just like 2023 is gone. There are many things that you probably started in 2023 that is not finished, that you need to continue on. Now 2023 is gone. If you do exactly what you did in 2023, then you probably are going to see the same results that you had in 2023. If you were not satisfied with it, then there must be a change in attitude and a change in action that will propel you further. So God gave a prescription to Joshua in these verses of how to prosecute progress for the next stage. And it is those prescriptions that I would like to share with you today so that you might be able to get some kind of progress in your life in the year 2024. And so he said that he will give unto the Israelites every place that they set their foot upon. He had already promised that the land belonged to them. He had mapped out all the places that he had already given to them. But they cannot get it until they set their foot there. They have to get there in order to conquer it. One of our great fathers in the faith always say, what you do not confront, you cannot conquer. No matter the promises that God has given you, you have to physically get there to possess them. A lot of Christians are yielding back. They stay in their room all day praying without taking actions. And therefore, even though there were things that has been promised, they never go out to possess them. Jericho was already defeated even before the Israelites got there. But they needed to step foot there and go around the city for the walls to fall. If they were not there, then there's no need for the walls to fall. The enemies that we always think are against us are still standing because we never get to them to fight and to possess them. And actually, we are not fighting any new battles because the devil is already defeated. All we do is to enforce the victory. But it requires that you set foot into the territory. You need a job. You have to step out to get to the ministries, to know about the companies where you want to work at. You cannot stay at home and expect letters from Shell and Chevron and NNPC and the banks and the places that you desire to work at. You need to set your foot in those places for God to give you possession of them. He has promised you victory, but you have to set your foot in those places. If you want to get married, you have to set your foot into marriage territory. You have to set your foot into finance territory. You have to set your foot into education territory. Whatever you need to possess, the basic requirement is that your foot needs to be there. There is no long distance possession. There is no long distance marriage of success with your present condition if you continue to sit at home. You need to set foot in places where you need to conquer. And this requires courage. 2 times in the verses we read, it says, be strong and courageous. Setting foot into places requires courage. First of all, it requires strength and courage. You are going to feel weak in the face of those obstacles. You may feel in your heart fright in front of those obstacles. But it says, be strong and courageous. And in fact, if you look at verse 7, when he was repeating it, it says, be strong and now be very courageous. So you're going to require strength and great courage to conquer some things. But you need to set foot there. Go with courage and strength to set foot on those places. Otherwise, you will remain stagnant in the issues of life. One of our great fathers in the faith always said, God delights in his people stepping into the aching void with nothing beneath their feet except the word of God. If God says be strong and courageous, keep that strength and courage and take steps until you get to the territory that he has promised you. And for sure, you are going to conquer. You cannot fail. So be strong and courageous in getting to the things that you need to possess for the year 2024. And you can always come back to refill. Where your strength fails, come back to the word of God to re-energize and keep going. The person that fails is the person who gives up. It's not the person that continues to do what the word says. So as we go into 2024, you got to step foot into places that you need to conquer. It is the place you set foot on that you are able to conquer, that God will hand to you, that God will give to you. Your success in 2024 is just not in the hands of God. It is also in your legs and where you are able to set foot on.